Welcome to enVisioning Success, the weekly podcast that's your prescription for business clarity. In today's episode, we're discussing the importance of evolving with your avatar and restructuring roles to meet changing needs. Julia and Laura share personal experiences and insights on aligning staff with your ideal client and adapting to evolving landscapes for your business. They emphasize the significance of including existing team members in decision-making and creating new roles that cater to your avatar's needs.
Welcome to this week's episode of enVisioning Success. I'm your host, Julia Becker Collins, and this is my co-host, Laura DiBenedetto, who has the laughies right now. The green room got a little funny. This week, we are finishing out our 4-episode arc. Yes, we're using $5 words. About aligning your staff and their needs with your avatar through hiring, professional development, etc. So today we are discussing evolving with your avatar, restructuring, and creating roles to meet changing needs, which basically means how do you hire or change the role you're hiring for to best meet the needs of the ideal client you are trying to sell to or already are selling to.
Thanks Welcome. For the word salad. I was hungry.
Nom, nom, nom.
This is going to be a good one. Thank you for doing the intro. Yeah, I totally had the giggles. I was being roasted by our producer because the last episode we were dropping Office Space jokes and she's like, really? You too? Talking about Office Space? Shocker. And I'm like, pipe down, youngin'. And I said to Julia, I'm like, I don't always LOL, but when I do, I'm dropping the jokes. And of course I laugh at my own humor because I'm stupid. So
I'm fine with that.
So let's turn this into plain English, really. Your business is going to change over time. You're going to learn more about the people you're serving. Cool stuff like pandemics are going to happen. Yay.
Yay.
You're just going to pivot sometimes. Maybe your business will be handed to your child because they've grown up and they want to sell to a slightly different person. That's cool. Mm-hmm. But your avatar isn't always the same. So yes, you should get clear, redefine who your avatar is. Yes, you should hire to suit the people. But what happens if you've got a staff that has been with you for 10, 15 years? First of all, yay you. But if you have a new avatar and older staff, well, you're not going to boot people out the door that you deeply love and have helped you to get to where you are. No, you're going to help them adapt and grow and create new roles and new training and stuff like that.
Yeah. We have done that here at Vision. A great example of that is that 7, 8, 9 years ago, we really primarily sold to restaurants and hospitality. It was a very large majority of the work that we did, and they were great to work with. And then so fun. I've never eaten so much free sushi in my life.
Big fan.
I know, seriously. Mm-hmm. But Laura decided to bring me on. And one of the things I did was move us in a different direction towards more professional services, clients, more service-based industries rather than hospitality-based industries. And that was a change we made long before the pandemic. And it really served us well because, as we all know, restaurants did not do fantastically well during the pandemic. So it's a little bit of a silver lining for us. But that also meant that we had to change the type of staff person that we were hiring. We had to change the professional development they received. We had to change how we were empowering and helping our staff that was staying on board for the shift. Laura, you mentioned keeping people on board for 10 years. We have somebody on the staff who's been here longer than I have. 8, 9 years at this point. He's been with us far longer than, just this initial change. He's seen lots of shifts in the company. And because he has been empowered, which we talked about last episode, and given the appropriate professional development, which we talked about 2 episodes ago, he has been able to bob and weave with the times and adjust to this change in who we serve. Whereas we've had other people that weren't a great fit for this new avatar, and that's totally okay. But when we go to hire after that shift, we're really looking for people that can serve more of a service-based industry, professional services, et cetera, rather than people that are looking to do photo shoots at restaurants and specifically serve that industry.
Yep, absolutely. Well said. Yeah, the evolution, boy, am I glad we decided to not exclusively work with discretionary income businesses. I mean, we were heavily focused on that. Honestly, listen, just truth time. If we hadn't made that decision to get into some of the more professional services, the more essential businesses, we might not be here today because a lot of our clients' businesses, through no fault of our own, they just couldn't stick with us because they couldn't even pay their rent during the pandemic. And so our business is based in Massachusetts, and a lot of our clients are based in Massachusetts, and different states handle different things differently. Massachusetts was all about the lockdowns. So how can you stick with your marketing company if you don't, pay your rent? You can't. So
Right.
I'm so grateful that we pivoted. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm all about, Mrs. Fun Times over here, and Julia can be straight laced and a little boring. I love your boringness. Thank you. We're still alive because of you.
My boringness pays the bills.
It do. It do be like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, poor Alex. It was the worst of times. Like, he's been on a roller coaster ride with us over the years, and he's just, he was there during the really fun, discretionary income things. We're working with ski areas and zoos and this and that. It was super fun because I was in charge of sales. It's like, well, I'm gonna go where it's fun because I could. So he joined us when we were doing that, and he has been a very, very patient, good doobie, and putting up with me and you as we grow and evolve the company. And damn it, he's really evolved. So, Alex, I hope you listen to this episode. We appreciate you, man.
Yes.
Just rolling with the punches and adapting with us, evolving with us, and always showing up with a can-do attitude. So hats off to you, sir. We appreciate you.
We do very much.
So, I mean, as we're going to go forward, just in our own company, I mean, shoot, we can totally pick on us for a minute. As we go forward, we are doubling and, dare I say, tripling down on all of our professional services focus. And when we hire, we're definitely going to be looking at bringing on folks that do that. They love that. They really have a values alignment with the avatar. We really, really want to have a good fit, and we want it to feel warm and fuzzy for all parties involved, them, us, the clients, whatever. And we definitely want to make sure that we don't leave our existing team behind that we love dearly. That would be a mistake, and it would be a catastrophic mistake for your company as well. You don't want to just be like, oh, we're going to go in a new shiny direction, and then you don't take the people who have loved you and supported you the whole way with you. So there's a lot about adaptation. And I think, last episode of the one before, we were talking about buy-in. I think as part of the adaptation, it's also including folks in the decision. Hey, we're making a pivot. We're going to be bringing on a different customer profile. Here's why. What are your thoughts? Including them in it. I think it's more warm and fuzzy, if you will, when you make all these changes for your existing team, to include them in the change and the decision and the logic and everything, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. It's kind of classic management that it's better to spend that time up front getting buy-in about changes from the staff, from the existing team, rather than just dumping it on them and hoping that they adjust and then dealing with the fallout later. When I was getting my master's degree and I took a management class, that's something they spent weeks on with us, talking about getting buy-in, getting people to understand, giving them the opportunity to ask questions. Even if they don't understand it in the end, they should still have the ability to come back and ask questions, making it feel like it's an environment where learning and asking questions and really understanding what's happening is valued, rather than saying, do what I do because I said so.
Also not a fan of that parenting style. So mom and dad tried that with me. God bless their little hearts. I was like, nope.
I was going to say, how'd that go?
Not too well. So maybe don't do it with your staff either.
Can
I will
you
bludgeon you
my
into
God.
compliance, and you will like it. And the beatings will continue until morale improves.
I mean, pretty much.
No?
Can you describe the process of creating a new role specifically to cater to your avatar's needs?
Absolutely. Well, your avatar is going to need different things based on who they are, but your avatar is also going to need different things based on what they do and how they wish to do business, what they're trying to promote. Different avatars will just be in different businesses sometimes. So when you think about staffing appropriately for a new role and creating a new role, you're just thinking about the role itself, and it all begins with who your ideal customer is, your avatar, your client, your homie, like who's that, right? You want to start with them in mind. Always, always, always start with them in mind. So it's like, okay, well, let's say you're going to pivot like we did, and you're going to go into things that are more like essential professional services. Okay,
Yep.
great. So what do those particular businesses need? So in the lens of marketing, what those businesses need is more search engine services versus social media. Those services, companies tend to need more reputation, not so much like the Yelp and Trustpilot, which are awesome, but they're going to need more like community reputation and publicity. So when I'm thinking about creating a role to serve my professional services clients that I'm pivoting towards, I'm going to need someone who's a very strong writer, someone who is a very, very gifted communicator, knows how to convince people to take action, pick up a press release, respond to a call to action in a blog. Because if we're going to serve someone who is selling something in a professional way, it's not just, how they like to be spoken to and yada, yada. You got to have a good skills fit. And, start with your avatar every single time. Right. Always start with them.
Right. Right. And it's also looking at what skill or capacity are you missing that your avatar could use, that you could hire for. Classic mistake that I see is, well, somebody left for whatever reason and you're rehiring for the role, and all you do is repost the role, and you don't take the time to consider, should we be changing what we're hiring for? Is this an opportunity to bring on a new skill set? An example from us at Vision is that we had somebody move on from a role here about 1.5 years ago because somebody offered him double the money, and I basically kicked him out the door and told him to go take it. I was like, please go take
if you don't. Bye.
I know.
Godspeed.
We're still in touch. He's so sweet. So when I started hiring for that role, one of the things I realized was that when we hired him initially, he was a great fit, but who we were serving had changed a little bit in terms of the services we were offering and what we were selling the most of. And so rather than doubling down on kind of this long form writing, we were really looking for somebody that could do short and long form writing, but also do really incredible email marketing work and really could own that part of our service package. And so that is what I was looking for when I was hiring. And we were lucky enough, or spent enough time, or however you want to phrase it, and hired somebody that is really fantastic at email marketing, but also at writing and telling stories specifically for service-based businesses.
Yep, that's huge. Every single time you have a staff turnover, someone leaves, they move away, they don't want to come back from maternity, use it as your opportunity to propel your business forward and always align with what your avatar needs, wants, does business like, yada, yada. I mean, you're right. That's such a good example. I remember that. He's a new dad. Did you know that?
I did know that. He's delightful.
I know. It's so great. Hey, I miss him, but double the salary, dude. Good for you, homie.
Get out of here.
Bye. We'll help you pack up your desk. Love you.
Right. And this is just another example of what we've been talking about for the past couple of episodes. When your staff is happy and they want to stay, you can keep those great relationships. That's how we know that this person who left just had a kid and what he was offered, and he was really transparent with me, and we had great communication about, the timeline of him leaving, and he stayed on to do some consulting work. And it's just a better relationship all around when there's open communication about what's working and what's not working. And there is nothing I can do to beat double the salary. No. He is a great guy who was a great addition to our team, but please go make double the money somewhere else.
Absolutely. It's important that you just go with evolution, don't really fight it. And, we try to look at every situation that happens through a positive lens. Pandemic was a little challenging, a little bit. I try to be the eternal optimist, but sometimes I just want to bash my head on the desk. But someone's leaving the company, that could bring you down, or it's like, well, you know what? Here's an opportunity to advance our commitment to our clients. Let's see if we can restructure the role. Let's see if we can create something new instead of just filling the old shoes. How about new shoes?
Right.
It's definitely something that we like to encourage everybody to do, is to just really, I hate to use the word upgrade because it's just feels so icky, but it's more like just use it to advance what you're doing.
Yep. Agreed. Absolutely. You got to think about it as an opportunity to make a change based on where the company is now versus where the company was when you hired that person initially.
I enjoyed that meeting we had yesterday where he was like, oh, that's a problem. No, this is an opportunity. Okay, buddy, what leadership book are you reading?
I was like, how much leadership information are you absorbing on a daily basis that's literally in your email and in your pitch in the meeting?
So funny. I love it. Question for you. So what advice would you give to business leaders considering role changes designed around the avatar?
Yeah, so it definitely depends on if you're doing a role change because somebody left, or if you're doing a role change with somebody internal that's staying. If somebody's staying, you're not having staff turnover, but you're looking to shift the services that are offered, or you're looking to shift somebody's role in general, which companies do all the time. We've done. The first step is really that transparent conversation with the staff member. We have somebody on staff who's fantastic, and she originally had one role, and then in order to best serve our clientele, I had a really transparent conversation with her about changing what she was doing. It's not increasing the responsibilities, it's a shift in responsibilities. Came with a new title to better reflect who she was and what she was doing. And we had to have a couple conversations because the type of person she is, she needs to absorb the information and come back with questions. Again, this goes back to what we've been talking about for I don't even know how many weeks at this point. Everybody learns differently, whether that's your client or your staff, and you need to meet them where they are, especially when you're initiating some kind of change. So it's not only getting the buy-in, but it's having a really good conversation where you lay things out, you answer the questions, you can come back and answer more questions. You don't present it as an all or nothing. It's more collaborative. I have found creating a collaborative process with your staff when you're doing a shift in their role is one of the most successful things you can do. And what I mean by that is you say to them, at least in our instance, you say, okay, so I want to talk to you about what you really love about your role and what you could kind of leave behind and you don't love, because everybody has things about their roles that they hate. I hate doing reporting and I have to do it all the time. But that's just, them's the breaks. That's, having a job. But having that conversation about what they really want to hold on to and what they love and what they're kind of like, you know what, we can give this to somebody else. And I'm fine with that because somebody else is probably going to love it. What I love is not what you love. You hate accounting. I don't mind accounting. We have a guy on our staff who loves reporting, and I'd rather just never do that again. So how do you look at the whole pie of work and responsibilities and shift things around in a way that's going to make more people happy, But then also, how do you have that conversation with the person whose role is going to shift? And you say, okay, this is great. Like, I'm going to have you keep these things you love. You're probably going to have to keep one thing you don't love, which is fine. I'm also thinking we add in these other pieces. What do you think about that? And having an open and honest, transparent conversation with them about it so that they're excited, they can ask their questions, they can understand it, rather than them feeling like it's an order from on high. And then you're less excited about it, even if it's things you want to do. Yeah. So that's shifting somebody's role versus hiring for a new role. Earlier, we talked about somebody on our staff leaving, and then we pivoted and hired for a slightly different role. The first thing I did was have a conversation with the person that was leaving and said, this is obviously totally fine. I support you. I'm thinking the next person I hire is going to do something slightly different based on your experience here at the company. What do you think about that? What's your feedback to me? And you don't have to take it all as gospel, but the feedback is really helpful, especially because the person's leaving. They have nothing to lose. You should have already created that open and honest communication structure. They can tell you what they think about the shift. They've seen the changes in the company. In this instance, this gentleman who left said, you know what, that's a great idea because I feel like we should be offering more of A, B, and C, and that is not a skill set I have. So if you hire for the role in this way, I think that's going to be really helpful. The next step I went through is having a conversation with the current staff that was saying, hey, yes, we're rehiring, but we're going to shift what we hire for. So I don't want them thinking that they're absorbing the work. That's not what's happening. We're just making a small pivot. So then they can be more excited about it. They can ask questions. Again, going back to buy-in, which we've been talking about for weeks, and getting them to understand the value of hiring for a slightly different skill set or an entirely different skill set, and seeing, what they think we should be asking that person, getting them involved and excited about the process. And then, through the publicity of trying to hire, explaining, this is who we're looking for and why we're looking for them. And then being very intentional about the hiring process, which again, we've been talking about for a while.
That was good. That's a lot to chew on right there.
I know.
It was good. I mean, I remember going through that. And I think being able to create that empowerment, which we discussed in the last episode, and giving people a voice and a seat at the table, and just really giving them a chance to co-create things, even if they're leaving. Give them a reason to care. The voiceless don't care, but if you give people a voice, they do care. So well said. Great job. I'm going to stick a bow on this. This has been really great. Thanks for listening to this. You have officially drank from the fire hose.
Yep.
Julia, you rock. And you know what, Laura, you rock too.
Thanks, Laura. You're welcome, Laura.
Yep, exactly. So, hey, listen, you should always be your own biggest fan.
That's true.
I am checking the box. So anyway, there's a whole laundry list of things that I should probably say at the end of these episodes, like, subscribe, share, sign up for email, because you can get tons and tons of free stuff from us. There's no catch. There's no sales pitch in the emails. It's not about that. Literally, we engineer these emails to be loaded with tons and tons of value and just give you great stuff to serve you. We don't need to pitch you, because we know that when you're ready, you know who to turn to. Period. That's our sales strategy. Boom. Now you've seen underneath the kimono. So anyway, thanks for listening. We're super excited to do this show for you. Again, this show is sponsored by Vision. We are celebrating 25 years of marketing awesomeness, and it's a pleasure. And we'll see you in the next episode, where we're going to be diving into a whole new theme that I don't know what it is yet. Neither do you. So hell of a teaser. Let's both find out.
We'll all find out next time.
Yeah, we will. Bye.
Bye.